How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And it is Wednesday on this show. You know what that means? We got a lot to talk about. We got AEW Dynamite tonight, and we actually now have a lineup, which we did not have yesterday. So we've got 6 things announced for the show. And we're going to talk about that and a lot of other things as well. I think they're up to 2,500 tickets now. So that was what I guess they were shooting for this show. We'll tell you about that. And also, obviously, last night was the first night of NXT Spring Break-In. And in fact, we do have a new NXT champion. Trick Williams won the title in the main event. It was actually awesome. The match was great. Trick and Elia always have great matches, and this was another one. And end of the match, it was actually very similar to a spot in the Bryan Danielson, Will Ospreay match. And I think they also did a spot similar to this in one of their other matches, where they're each in opposite corners. It's a duel in the Old West. They both race at each other to hit their finish, and Trick hit that Trick knee first. And it'll always be the Trick knee to me, by the way. And he got the pin. So we'll tell you about that show as well. And all of the other news, not the least of which is Vince McMahon's legal team has filed a motion. And Janelle Grant's lawyer responded. And boy, oh boy, man, we'll open up with that today. And then get into all of the other news as well. Rock's WWE talent contract, details on that. Some notes on the Raw ratings. Swerve responds to Grayson Waller. I have no idea why. Jey Uso disappointed in his WrestleMania match. Plenty more. Back in a moment, Observer Live.
And then Cody. The hardest thing I think in this business right now is to make a babyface. And to make a babyface that almost everybody likes. That people just aren't, booing because it's the right fun thing to do with the moment or whatever, like to buy into that story and be that guy. Cody's that guy, but he's not that guy because it was manufactured. He's that guy because he's just that guy. He's the right human being. He's the right person. He's everything you want to believe in. He's everything you want to get behind and see fight. It's all that. I'm so happy for him. And when you talk about overcoming things, he's got to go back and look at his career and the things he's done. He's forged his own path. He has done it all, and it's a testament to him and who he is as a person. He's never quit. He's never given up. When one road shut down, he went to another road. When that road shut down, he made his own goddamn road. But all of them, they led back here, and to where his dream always was. And man, without getting emotional about it, I could feel his dad today. I really could. I could feel how proud he was. I could feel him looking down when I got in that ring with him. I could feel him out there with us. It was an incredible moment, not just as a performance, an incredible moment for a human being. And he means a lot to me. He means a lot to everybody here. And I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him. And I know he's going to do amazing stuff now on this run. So super exciting. Lee Fitting, from a production standpoint, from what we're doing, from the look, the feel, all of it. You see changes happening every week on TV, and there's going to be more of them, but you see them, and I see people excited by them and just loving the changes that are made. But I'm telling you, there's so much more to come. Like, we made a conscious decision together to sort of Lee, Nick, and myself to slowly roll out some of those changes over time. There's a lot more coming. But when I tell you Lee Fitting, man, I love working with him. He has a passion for this just like we do. Might be new here, but man, he's all in. And for me, he's the kind of guy that I want to go to work for. I want to do stuff to make his job easier, and I want to collaborate with him, and I want to make things better with him. So I can't say enough good stuff about him.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. I suppose we have to talk about Vince. Vince McMahon's legal team contends that a binding arbitration clause exists in the NDA Janelle Grant signed in 2021. By the way, if anybody has any questions about this, send them to the text message line, 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. I read the entire filing yesterday, and there's obviously a lot in the filing that's not necessarily mentioned in this particular story at 4wonline.com, although this is the gist of it. McMahon filed a motion in the District of Connecticut Tuesday to compel arbitration of Grant's lawsuit. This means he is asking the court to recognize the arbitration clause and send the matter to private arbitration hearings with an independent arbitrator rather than litigation. Typically, a party makes this motion when it believes that mere mention of the evidence during trial would be highly prejudicial and could not be remedied by an instruction to disregard, says Trellis Law. So, man, these filings, man, these lawyers, I mean, it's not like it's funny, but like, this is not, they don't sit there and say, these are the facts as we believe they are. They have the most outrageous language in these filings. McMahon's team said, by publicly filing her salacious, false, and defamatory complaint, plaintiff has brazenly and intentionally violated a binding contract to arbitrate. Filing alleges McMahon and Grant engaged in a consensual relationship and references the love letter that she wrote to him in 2021, love letter in quotes, as proof of this. Contrary to plaintiff's false allegations, plaintiff and defendant engaged in a consensual relationship during which defendant never coerced plaintiff into doing anything, never mistreated her in any way. In fact, in a love letter plaintiff wrote to defendant shortly before the parties ended their relationship, plaintiff described defendant as, quote, my best friend, my love, and my everything, praising him for being the, quote, wonderful, tender, vulnerable, heart-on-your-sleeve soul you really are. It is incredulous that plaintiff, a then 42-year-old woman who claims on her resume to have a law degree from Pace University, would have written those words to defendant months after all the events in the complaint of alleged abuse, coercion, and sex trafficking. They put that in quotation marks, sex trafficking took place. Several paragraphs in the filing refute claims in Grant's lawsuit that she was in financial difficulties or was a full-time caregiver, leading to her relationship with McMahon. At the time the parties met in 2019, plaintiff was not dealing with profound grief from her parents' death, McMahon's lawyer said, and struggling financially, as described in her complaint, and she had not been, quote, devoting years to around-the-clock caregiving to her parents. Those statements are falsehoods. Based on a foreclosure action against plaintiff and her parents, plaintiff's father passed away on April 18, 2017, 2 years before plaintiff met defendant, and his marital status was recorded as widowed, confirming plaintiff's mother had passed away earlier. Filing also notes Grant was living with her fiancé during the time of her relationship with McMahon, and that both parties were aware the other was involved in other romantic relationships. It says during the parties' consensual relationship, plaintiff and defendant knew that the other was also involved in other romantic relationships. Plaintiff was living in Park Tower, a luxury multi-million-dollar building in Stamford, Connecticut, with her longtime fiancé, attorney Brian Goncalves. Goncalves? Plaintiff and Goncalves lived in the same luxury building as defendant, 4 floors below, when the parties began their affair in 2019. Plaintiff would often visit defendant at his condominium at all hours, including at 2:30 a.m. to pursue their affair, and return back to her condominium with Goncalves the same night. Filing noted both parties agreed to end their relationship in 2022. NDA was drawn up and signed. Agreement includes a clause that states disputes would be resolved through arbitration. In fact, because the parties wish to preserve their confidential and private nature of any disputes under the agreement, they specifically provided in the agreement that disputes would be resolved through arbitration. And so there's plenty more here. But the gist of the story, and a lot of people had questions about, what's this, that, and the other thing. So I think the gist of it is Vince's side is claiming that there was no sex trafficking. This was a consensual relationship. They have not denied the text messages. I mean, the text messages are legitimate. I mean, no one's argued that. Their claim is that, yeah, they were legitimate, but it was consensual. And obviously her side is saying, no, they were not consensual, and I was forced into doing all of this. And the other big thing is that Janelle Grant's side claims that Vince stopped paying her, and so she went public. Vince's side is claiming, no, she violated the confidentiality agreement, and thus I stopped paying her. So, a lot of this stuff here, I mean, to me, it shouldn't be, we should be able to find out if they go to discovery, which is questionable. Like, well, what's going on here? Like, Vince's side claims that she was living with her fiance, and her side claims, no. She was going through a rough time, and her ex-boyfriend allowed her to live with him for 3 years or whatever it was, as she attempted to get back on her feet. So this is kind of like the Ronda Rousey Drew Gulak situation. Well, what's this guy say? And we don't know, but obviously that would be one of the obvious questions. What does he say about this? Was she his fiance at the time, or was she an ex that he allowed to live there while she was getting back on her feet? So like a lot of these things here, did she violate the confidentiality agreement before he stopped paying or not? I mean, I think we should be able to determine that, right? I mean, what happened first? So these are the it is a he said, she said at this point. And each side is claiming the other side is lying. And I guess we have to wait to see where it goes from here and what John Laurinaitis' side claims. Because obviously John Laurinaitis, his claim is that, what she's saying is true, but I was also forced into this by Vince McMahon. And we have not seen his side of the story yet. So that is coming, I presume, within the next few weeks. There was a May deadline, so that's the gist of it. Any comments, Mike?
Well, not only his side of the story, but Vince McMahon and his legal team has not gone after him yet for saying that he's a victim in all this. They are attacking now her character in the same way that she attacked his, with trying to point out things about her. Her attorney did go on record as saying Vince McMahon has never known a storyline that he doesn't twist to fit his own shameful narrative. Her father was in hospice during his final days, where Janelle continued to care for him around the clock prior to his death. She had been caring for her blind, wheelchair-bound mother, using the grief of someone who has lost both of her parents is an all-new level of disgusting. And then later on, and this was in a statement to Post and WrestleNomics, she said she was not dating at the time. Her ex-boyfriend allowed her to stay in the apartment as she rebuilt her life and resumed taking care of her parents. She had no job and no other financial support to lean on, which you mentioned as well, too. One of the things that also Vince McMahon in this response is getting ahead of is this does not fall under the Speak Out Act. And that's why, and that's going to be very important here too, Brian, because this confidentiality agreement and whether or not he stopped paying her or not is it going to cover her allegations of saying that there was sexual assault taking place? And that's going to need to be determined here, I think, on what direction this goes, as well as is there going to be any filing or anything that comes federally or state-wise out of this as well, too, against McMahon if they're looking into him that way?
So that is, there's more on the front page. And in fact, Dave, for subscribers, wrote an even longer and more detailed story on the front page. And he'll have more in the Observer this coming Friday. But more after the break. Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. So, should mention, by the way, that in the McMahon filing, what they're attempting to get here is obviously all of this taken to arbitration, but also the final line in the arbitration clause reads that the prevailing party, as determined by the arbitration tribunal, shall be entitled to recover from the non-prevailing party all of its attorney's fees and costs. So they're trying to obviously get this shut down and get all their money back. So
of course.
Yeah. We shall see what happens, but I mean, I expect it's very likely that this is, not going to trial, would be my guess.
They're going to do everything they can to get it to settlement. If this fails, then just try to negotiate a settlement so things don't go any further than they have. If you're Vince McMahon's side. But again, you got a guy who's doesn't have the best reputation going into this to begin with, including last year or 18 months ago, whatever it is, settling that case with Rita Chatterton, where he was accused of rape after all of these years. So, again, it's a lot of he said, she said, and there's going to probably be things that are blown up on both sides, from both sides. But, I don't think he wants to go and fight this thing tooth and nail all the way to the end. But we'll see.
Also got notes on the Rock's talent contract with WWE. This was the contract that he signed to join the TKO board in January, which, among things, ended up getting him into the WrestleMania main event. And Brandon Thurston said the contract was published as an exhibit this past Friday with WWE's annual report. It allows Johnson to, quote, hire third-party service providers in connection with developing concepts, scripts, storylines, etc. with WWE's approval. So that would be Brian Gewirtz, who has been the guy who has basically been writing for him since the 90s. Part of the process, WWE will reimburse Johnson $7 entertainment for the cost of those service providers. One such person named in the contract, but their name was redacted. It likely was Brian Gewirtz. Deal is worth $30 million in TKO equity. Quote, the Johnson Equity Award. And best on the schedule
Johnson
through the end of
bought WWE. Bottom line, we went from
2025.
McMahon's to Johnson's. That's what happened here with his good friend Nick Khan that used to hang out on on the beaches of Hawaii with him. It's a great deal for The Rock. It's an incredible deal for The Rock.
Part of the equity is for Johnson licensing his name, likeness, and certain other intellectual property rights to WWE for use in connection with certain categories of licensed products related to professional wrestling for up to 10 years, subject to certain earlier termination rights. So if they make a Rock shirt, Rock is actually licensing his license.
His own,
or his, to WWE. Yep. The IP, which includes The Rock and nearly all of his famous catchphrases, cannot be used on things like political ads, alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, porn, or pop-up ads.
They're very annoying.
Johnson is very against pop-up ads without his approval. At the end of 2023, he got nearly $491,000 for royalties. Will continue to receive yearly royalties for the sale of products with the aforementioned IP. By the way, he made $500,000 during a period where he wasn't even there. Wasn't even there. He made like one appearance on SmackDown and sold $500,000 worth of merch and such. So now imagine
where do gas station sexual enhancement pills come down on with all of this? Can he still do that?
I don't know. I would presume he would need approval. So essentially, he got paid basically $30 million for that WrestleMania run. And I don't even know if he's got like another contract, if they paid him outside of that as well.
Oh, I think he'll be okay. He's got
he's all right.
On the board, remember?
He is definitely doing all right.
Uh-huh. That's the Johnson era. That's what you got there.
So we got Dynamite coming up tonight, and we finally have matches. These were announced yesterday. We got Jon Moxley, Powerhouse Hobbs, IWGP World Heavyweight Title. Swerve Strickland versus Kyle Fletcher in a World Title Eliminator match.
Let's call it a non-title match, you geeks.
I mean, the bigger issue is, didn't Kyle Fletcher get beat on Saturday?
Yeah.
Now he's in a world... Oh, whatever. And then Anna Jay versus Mina Shirakawa. We will hear from Chris Jericho.
I bet you that gets one of the higher segments on the show. I'm willing to bet that for some reason that bucks the trend of women's wrestling not getting as good a ratings as some of the men's stuff does. I bet you on that one. I bet you that one's up.
Then we've got Chuck Taylor must choose between Orange Cassidy or Trent. What?
Oh, come on. Jesus.
I'll get back to that in a minute. And Willow Nightingale has her TBS Championship
I hope
celebration.
they do it. What's that gimmick? Maybe one of your daughters has got it. Remember that thing you used to like? It was like origami or whatever. You used to like open it up and you used to have different.
They just made one the other day.
Yeah, but like, is that how they're going to decide this? Like, whose friend are you going to be? Like, I don't know. I got to do this first, and whatever happens, he can pluck a flower. Will it come up with orange, or will it get? This is dumb.
All I know is this.
It's the truth, too. You're about to sneeze.
I'm about to sneeze.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Facts.
So,
I was happier when they didn't have a card. Are you better now?
Well, I mean, I was not happier when they didn't have a card. Nor was this person here, by the way, who messaged me on Twitter. They said, quick note regarding your comments this week on Observer Live about Dynamite ticket sales for Jacksonville. I can speak for myself and many of my friends. We were all totally open to buying tickets, even though Dynamite was here just a few months ago. Biggest reason we won't be attending is the fact that nothing was announced in advance. Promotional materials leading up to the event featured Ospreay, Okada, Mercedes, the Young Bucks, Danielson. If there was any assurance that they'd actually be there, I would be running to buy a ticket. Nothing announced, I'll be watching from home. Can also say I'd be really upset if I purchased a ticket based on the marketing, and none of the talent listed above appeared on the show.
You don't want to see Daddy Magic against Evil Uno, I guess. That's what he's saying right there. Give me some stars. Give me some things that are going to be happening around this joint. And by the way, apparently Swerve Strickland was on the Jacksonville, one of the TV stations there, so that's a good thing. Getting your people out to do media, especially your new champion, try to get him wherever you can.
Now, I got to ask a question for all of the hardcore AEW fans, of which I am, which is why this is actually so astonishing to me.
So it's a rhetorical question? What
Kind
are you
of.
doing here?
Okay, so the best friends have been together since the day this company started.
Day one.
Okay. So then they did that match, and Trent got beaten, and then he turned on Orange.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And Chuck Taylor just kind of stood there. Okay?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And then...
Confused.
And then there was the Dynamite show, and they said they were going to talk to Orange Cassidy about this, and they said, no, actually, he'll speak on Rampage. Okay? Now, to be fair, I missed that Rampage. But also, so did everybody else, because it did, under 300,000 viewers. Something happened on that show. I couldn't tell you. And then, now, it's Chuck has to choose between them. I feel like I've missed months of storylines. Can somebody explain this to me? Lenny? Somebody?
What does he have to choose?
What have I missed?
What did Orange do? Like, if he's
I
gotta
don't have
choose-
any idea.
Yeah, if he's
I have no
gotta
idea.
choose, Orange is probably a horrible person. He might be a rotten orange, apparently.
What's that, Dom? What's happening?
I have an answer for you.
Okay. Oh, you don't have an answer. Oh, you do have an answer?
Yeah, I do. I got it.
Okay.
So I believe Orange was getting jumped post-match, and Trent was going to absolutely murder him with, I think, a chair. Chuck comes in, saves Orange, and that caused Trent to be like, who are you with, me or him? I think that's what it was.
Okay.
But he saved Orange.
Okay,
Why
but
is there
but
even a
between
question?
them and him choosing tonight, I mean, was there like, did Tony, in storyline, did Tony Khan go, okay, Trent, you must choose on Wednesday? Like, did I miss a segment where they announced it on Wednesday? Did someone do an interview? Was there a promo? Was there anything to connect these things together or no?
I want to say after Chuck saved Orange, preventing him from getting killed by Trent, like as he's backpedaling up the ramp, threatened Chuck and said, you're making a decision next week.
Okay. So he said this backing up the ramp. So
Now
I
they're
didn't.
calling him
Okay.
Chunk now too.
No,
like
not
that.
Chunk. That's terrible. That's
Chunk
what
Taylor?
WWE's doing now. Anyway.
It's a dumb idea, and I don't know. Orange Cassidy, I guess, doesn't really need to be in a group. You can use him, utilize him like you do Darby Allin, and people will respond to it, or Trent and Chuck better together? Well, you're trying to reestablish your tag teams. At least I would hope you're trying to do that. So just get it out of the way. Have them both beat them up tonight and be done with this whole stupid best friends thing until a bunch of shows later where we have our happy moment again, where Excalibur can say, give the people what they want, and they can all hug and people can all go, oh man, what a great story that was.
I don't think they're all going to hug tonight. Someone's going to make a choice. Back in a moment, Observer Live.
As far as what tonight was, just incredible. You know, it's a very personal business for me. And I hear the word, and everybody will read into this, whatever. But I hear the word, oh, I love this business, or oh, that guy loves this business, or this person loves the business. I love this business. I hear that a lot. But I see it in certain people. And there's as kids say, there's levels to that, right? So there's a certain passion that you just can't take out of people. When I said tonight in the ring, I live for this, I meant it. I think it's the greatest form of entertainment in the world. And I want to see it continue. I want to see it thrive. I want to take it places it's never been before. The team that we have is incredible. I want to work with the most talented people in the world. I want to work with Nick Khan. I think he and I make magic together. I do. I want to work with Rock. I think he and I make magic together. I have for 30 years. You know, it's all about creating new stuff, taking it places it's never been before. So, as the first one, sort of, or as the first night of WrestleMania, that was in my role, unique to me and my responsibility. It was incredible. To talk about Paul Heyman, he is one of the greatest minds in this business, the greatest talkers in this business. So, you know, if you have that level of respect that I have for Paul Heyman, and then he's standing on that stage on a night that's supposed to be about him, and he is saying those things about you, it's incredibly meaningful. I was very touched. Paul and I always have had a wonderful working relationship. His Hall of Fame ring has an insignia on the inside. They can get whatever they want engraved on the inside, what's important to them. And, Paul said, I leave it up to you. He would have to tell you what I wrote in there, if he would want to, because it's between he and I, but if he wanted to tell you, he could.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. Well, spring breaking is over.
No,
we
it's
have
not.
we have week 2 next week. Well, the
we
first
go.
night of spring breaking. Next week's show has Obafemi against Ivar for the NXT North American title. Nathan Frazier and Axiom versus AOP for the tag team titles. Natty versus Lola Vice in NXT Underground, which I actually expect to be really good. And the corner people are Carmen Petrovich and Shayna Baszler for Lola Vice, who used to team with Natty. That's the storyline. Thea Hale versus JC Jane. And I'm trying to pronounce his name. Tyreek Igwe and Tyson DuPont.
I have to to see the names here.
Did you watch the show last night?
Well, most of it, yeah.
Okay. This Tyson and Tyreek, I believe his name.
Mm-hmm.
There was a video package because they're coming next week. We have never seen them before, ever. And they do this video package. At one point, they each very quickly say their name. I had absolutely no idea what their names were. And at no point, anywhere, ever, did they put a graphic on the screen with their names. Or I don't know if they have a team name. I have absolutely no idea. Why is this so hard for every company? Like, I watch every company, and there's so much simple, common sense stuff that just doesn't happen, and I don't get it. So anyway, they're debuting next week. Whatever their names are, whatever their team name is called, we will see them next week, hopefully with a graphic. Now, with that said, I did like the show last night, particularly the main event. I know you will find this very difficult to believe, but Ilya Dragunov and Trick Williams was awesome. They are incapable of having a bad match because Ilya Dragunov is absolutely incredible, and Trick Williams can and will go in there and do an Ilya Dragunov match. This is not Ilya Dragunov working a match, a Trick Williams match. This is, I'm going to kill you, and in response, I want you to try to kill me. And it was just absolutely great. Place was going nuts. Whoop that Trick chance. I mean, it was awesome. And then finally at the end, they... See, when I saw this, I immediately thought, okay, they just stole a spot from Danielson and Ospreay, which I have no problem with, by the way, because I watched that match. But they each, they did a double down. They both crawled to the corner. They looked across at each other. Each of them has a move where you run at each other. And so it was like the Old West duel, In the Danielson match, it was Will was going to go for the hidden blade. Danielson was going to go for the flying knee. And I think Danielson hit it first on that one. Could be wrong. But anyway, they both race at each other. And the Trick knee wins out. And my God, when he hit that Trick knee, they went nuts. And he made the cover, and he got the pin, and this place went so nuts, like the cameras are shaking. Like, and not, a guy going like this, like in WWE. Like, it's a hard cam shaking because people are stomping their feet and going so absolutely crazy. And then Ilya gives him the title, gives him a massive hug, leaves, gives him his moment. And, must we do it again? Why in God's name did this not happen at Stand and Deliver? Because you know what, Mike? Hey, booking aside, okay?
Yeah?
Booking aside.
Yes, sir.
Look at the reaction they got.
I know.
From how many people fit in that building?
15. I really don't know.
It ain't 1,500.
It's only on 3 sides, right?
I mean, I estimate 400. I mean, maybe someone will tell me more, but
and there's nobody on the hard side of the camera, right?
I mean,
nobody?
Listen, if you had 400, even if you had 1,000 people in that building,
Let's say 500. All right.
It sounded like a good 10,000. Do you realize that Stand and Deliver, NXT Stand and Deliver, they drew 14,507 fans. Can you imagine what the reaction would have been had Trick Williams won that title instead of in front of 400 fans, instead of in front of 14,507 total maniacs on WrestleMania weekend? It would have been an all-timer. But instead, they did Trick and Mello in a straight match. Carmelo versus a babyface murderer. And then a mere 3 weeks later, they give Trick the title anyway in front of 400 people. I was just like, God, this is another one. Why is this so hard? Why is this so hard? Anybody?
Well, now I got a question for you. Got a difficult decision. Got a hard decision for you to make. Ilya Dragunov. Main roster? You keep him in NXT?
Oh, he's going to the main
roster.
Awesome we already know he's going to the main roster. He declared for the draft.
Well, that's true. He
I
declared,
mean, they're not going to go, heading to NXT, NXT's Ilya Dragunov.
Look, Apollo Crews and Odyssey Jones are a part of this draft. We could hear that. I mean, technically, are they part of the main roster? I guess that they are. But Ilya Dragunov, I mean, with this draft, can't you still be, end up in NXT?
You're not being drafted from NXT to NXT. It's not happening. Now, I've got a list.
Does that mean Roxanne is up too?
Hold on, I got a list, okay? Because this is not an official list. These are my predictions based on watching the show.
So this is some S you just made up.
I didn't make it up, but this is what I think is going to happen, but I don't know. So I guess you could say I made it up. Okay. Based on this show.
Your NFL draft coverage right here, brother.
You know what? You mock, but get back to me after the draft, okay?
All right.
Roxanne retained the title over Tatum and Lyra, okay? I presume Roxanne is staying. I don't have any idea why.
What a sin.
This is another one.
I know.
Why is this so hard? Do you realize half of her gimmick is that she is like a 21-year-old prodigy or whatever?
Yeah.
At this point, by the time you call her up, it's like Bayley was like the hero to little girls in NXT, and by the time they brought her up, she was like 30. So how long are we going to wait? And you know what? This is not just an NXT thing. Where in God's name is Nick Wayne?
I don't know.
They hired him at 16. 16! So that on his 18th birthday, he would debut as an 18-year-old prodigy. And where are we? He has had, 4 matches in AEW all year. His mother does more talking than he does on the mic. He's literally a few months away from now being 19, not even 18 anymore. I mean, what is the point of hiring young people and then not doing anything with them until they're old? So anyway, I think she's staying because she's the champion.
To be fair, he's wrestling crash matches in Tijuana now. He's actually had
He's getting pushed. He's getting pushed the hardest, not in AEW.
Yeah.
That's where they are taking advantage of the 18-year-old prodigy, is everywhere except AEW. So anyway,
she should have stayed in GCW. Him and Jordan Oliver.
I think Roxanne is staying. I believe Roxanne is staying.
That's a sin.
Okay. Now we had Fallon Henley and Jada Parker. Okay? Jada Parker of Out Da Mud. Who, by the way, if you look at all of the other green women, I'm talking the green ones. Not, there's in NXT, it's like they got people that are really good and they got people that are green. And I would not consider Fallon Henley one of the green women. But Jada definitely is. She's had, 3 matches or whatever. So,
looks great.
She won. Clean.
Yeah.
Pinned her clean in the middle. She had a running hip attack and pinned Fallon. And the moment I saw that, Fallon Henley's getting drafted.
Yep.
Oh, I thought you were making fun of me earlier. I thought you were making NFL draft jokes earlier. Now all of a sudden I'm right?
Oh, I got jokes, and I'm not saying, look, you're talking about obvious things here. You banged your hand on the table and talked about obvious things. You brought up Tiffany Stratton probably before, in theory, she was completely done with NXT. The character is there. How she can put matches together, we'll see. But then again, she can work with people on the main roster. Things have worked out well so far. But that's why, like Roxanne and Fallon, I don't know what else you could possibly do with them in NXT. It's time for them to probably come up. Because who is Fallon going to work with there on a consistent basis that's going to make her better? Like, the gimmick is down. The whole thing is kind of down. She's got to look. And now she has people on the main roster in Tiffany Stratton you can kind of bump up against. So she should be up on the main roster.
Yes, Fallon is going up, I believe. And then we had another Sol Ruka Blair Davenport match. Which, by the way, God.
It was horrible.
Let me ask another question. You might have heard this one before. Why is this so hard? You're literally in Florida.
Well,
you've advertised a beach brawl. Why can't we brawl on the actual beach? Instead, they surrounded the ring. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. Beach balls. Okay. You know what a beach ball is?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really soft, full of air.
Uh-huh.
And those inflatable donuts that you float in,
yeah,
filled with air.
use that as a weapon.
Yeah, and then those kick pads, which, those are also somehow full of air. They're designed to float. They're so light.
Very flimsy boogie boards.
They are freaking hitting each other with this stuff and selling it. Mm-hmm. And I'm dying.
That's
and the only good thing in the match was Soul at the end did her Soul Snatcher or whatever
that is
off the
incredible.
ropes. Instead of the corner,
smokes.
She did it off the middle rope. It looked even more awesome. And she pinned Blair clean in the middle.
Her legs were so long, I thought they were going to hit the ropes, so that is an amazing move.
I will say this. In storyline, okay? And by the way, they got bumped into a ball pit, too, and that was stupid.
Yes, they did. Why
and that's coming from me, who got bumped into a kiddie pool and sold it. But the difference is, I am allergic to water.
And you had a slip and slide, which makes it extra better.
Now, I will say that in storyline, Blair Davenport put Sol Ruca out of action for 9 months. Because when Sol tore her ACL, they did the Phantom Attack, and Blair was responsible, okay? So it is possible that this was just a blow-off to a long feud, but it wasn't really a long feud because Sol just came back. So I watched this, and my presumption was Blair Davenport is going up to the main roster.
I would have said that until she got to NXT. To me, she's shown nothing, and I don't know bringing her up to the main roster unless you got some good plan. I don't know, man. I don't know.
And then we had Baron Corbin and Lexis King. And it was not completely clean. Lexis King kicked him in the ding-dong and then pinned him with his finish. But he's out of here. He's going back to the main roster.
Babyface Baron.
And Ilya Dragunov is already declared. And so those are the names I think are going up. Baron Corbin, Ilya Dragunov, Fallon Henley, and Blair Davenport. And I should also add that at the beginning of the show, they had a meeting backstage. God, these meetings with Ava, they are something else. It's her and Adam Pearce. And Nick Aldis he's FaceTiming on a TV screen behind him. Who, by the way, anyway. So that guy's good even on TV.
He's great.
But the point is, they're all talking about the draft. And Adam Pearce made a point to say, they both said, we're looking at all the talent tonight. We want some people up. And Adam Pearce did specifically say, we're looking for women for Raw. So I think Blair and Fallon are probably are both going up. So anyway, back in a moment with more Observer Live.
There's 1, 2. Now he's got Bryan Alvarez. He whips him into the corner hard. Adam Firestorm following up, catches a boot to the face. Bryan Alvarez with another hard shot to the head. 1, 2. This is the most aggressive I've seen Bryan Alvarez today here in Portland Wrestling. Now he's got his knee across the throat. He's choking him, LC.
Well, it's like this week Alvarez has something to prove, brother. Something to prove to his sweet little lady over there.
Of course, Adam Firestorm with a big win over Black Dragon last week. Looking for another one here. There's a sunset flip. Is he going to go down? Yes, he is. Over he goes. 1, 2, 3. It is all over. Adam Firestorm with the victory over beautiful Bryan Alvarez here in Portland Wrestling. Now out Bryan Alvarez firing away with a boot. Action continues after the bell. Goes for the back body drop. No! Face first plant by Adam Firestorm. Your winner once, looks like he'll be your winner twice. Action continues. There's a whip into the far corner. Adam Firestorm follows with a spinning kick. LC, I think Bryan Alvarez has bit off more than he could chew tonight. Miss Rentone really disgusted over in the corner. Adam Firestorm not done. There's a lion sold on top. He hooks him again. 1, 2. 2.5. I thought we had a 3 count earlier in this match, LC. I was wrong. I'm sorry.
I can't believe it. I thought Youth Gone Wild was just adding a little salt to the wound. I thought Alvarez was Alvarez and a 2-time loser, brother.
Well, Mark Watson's hand must have stopped just short of the 3 count. And these eyes of mine need glasses because I thought I saw a 3 count Bryan Alvarez going up top.
Oh, well, forget about your cataracts, brother. Up and over he goes.
Nobody home. Adam Firestorm back in control, playing a bit of possum. He's climbing up top. Is Rento and Otto really upset? There he goes. Swamp.
Oh, and that one hit.
There's a hook to leg. 1, 2, 3. Now it's all over.
A 2-time loser. And does the LC have to look after Miss Rento and Otto tonight, baby?
There's Adam Firestorm, your winner in this match. Once, twice, 3 times, it didn't matter. Bryan Alvarez not up to it. Miss Rento Onato absolutely disgusted with it. Mark Watson explaining to him it was a 3 count this time. No hook the leg. Fair and square, Adam Firestone. Your winner here on Portland Wrestling. Fans will be right back after a message from our sponsors.
So we do have an update here. You missed the pre-show angle where Trent Beretta gave Chuck Taylor an ultimatum and he has to decide tonight on Dynamite. Took place on 0 hour.
Why couldn't he just decide right then and there? You're the dude that you've been rolling.
Well,
with.
you got to put some thought into
it.
it.
I guess.
Got to put some thought into it.
I guess.
I like when I want an answer that is in my favor. I demand a person give it some thought first.
Yeah, well, I can't wait until you finally hit Craig in the head with a chair, and then Vinny's got to stand there and actually decide: has this man gone nuts or not? Is there something wrong with this man? It's what did you do? Nothing. Well, then you should be pissed off at the person that hit him with the chair, or in this case, the knee.
This person says, assuming Thea beats JC next week, I could see JC going to the main roster. Maybe Thea is the one to beat Roxanne for the title. Well, the problem is that the draft is Friday and Saturday. So my guess is that anybody who they wanted who is going to be drafted, they put on night 1 and beat them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible and everything, but...
Well, it's going to be interesting to see who stays in NXT or if somebody goes down there. I mean, obviously you have the rotating people I think AOP and Karrion Kross is, but I do wonder if we are going to get somebody who gets drafted down or again, gets moved over. Odyssey Jones is a great example. Apollo Crews is a great example. You can do a lot more with them in NXT than you're ever going to do with them on the main roster. Because I hate this for Odyssey's sake, but we saw some of those guys who have come up recently, not the least of which is Obafemi, and you're going to get into that shuffle spot again of how many people can you have going at once.
Oh, we got the draft rules. Forgot about those. So... Anyway, we'll read those tomorrow. We got time.
We do.
Talk to you next time, everybody. Wrestling Observer Live.